I'd like to call the Germantown School District Building Committee meeting to order at 6:33. Roll call, Borden, absent excused. Mr. Loth?
Here.
Mr. Kanke is absent excused. I am here, and Mr. Medved will be sitting in as a representative. Item 3, agenda revisions and approval.
Move to approve the agenda.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 4, approval of the July 19th minutes.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, reports and updates. Director of Buildings and Grounds, Fund 10 and Fund 41 projects and facility services. Mr. Erickson.
Hello. First thing I'd like to report on is the Amy Bell drain. In room 121 at Amy Bell, the drain was not working properly. District maintenance staff were unable to clear the obstruction and Roto-Rooter had to be called in. Roto-Rooter had difficulty as well trying to get the drain cleared. They ended up sending a camera down, and as you can see in the picture below the report, there was a rock lodged in the piping. Nice sized rock too. So needless to say, they couldn't get it out as well. So we ended up calling in DeBellick Plumbing. DeBellick Plumbing cut the floor open, broke into the pipe, and removed the rock. The floor has now been patched back up. Floor tiling is the last thing that needs to go back on it. Any questions? Amy Bell infiltration basin. The Amy Bell custodian Chris Owens worked together with the district warehouseman Steve Giebert on the infiltration basin. Core seeder was rented to help break up the top surface of the soil and overseed the basin. The basin is watered and sprinkled daily in hopes that the seed will germinate and take hold prior to the start of the school year. With today's rain and over the weekend's rain, hopefully it hasn't washed out and we still have grass seed in there that can germinate and be ready for the time the school starts. Any questions? Holton Brothers has started the EFIS repairs in the County Line courtyard. Repairs will be completed before school starts. County Line chimneys, Holton Brothers also provided a quote for $4,990 to rebuild the County Line chimneys. Below are pictures and details of the repairs. As you can see in the pictures, some of the areas they actually had to remove all the mortar out and replace it, and then replace a few bricks as well in order to get these chimneys back into shape. Holton Brothers also provided a quote for $9,880 to rebuild the chimneys at Rockfield Elementary. Basically, they had to take all the brick off, rebuild the caps, rebuild the entire chimney on these at Rockfield Elementary. Any questions?
No.
Next is the Germantown High School pool deck meeting. Brittany and I met with representatives from PRA, CD Smith, and Lippert Floor Tiling to discuss the pool deck issues. After inspecting the deck and noticing many more areas that the grout is washing out and the tile is starting to delaminate off the floor, it was agreed that the grout manufacturer needs to be brought back for further discussions. The grout manufacturer was not present at this meeting at the time. Any questions?
What does that mean, further discussion? I'm the grout vendor. What are you going to talk to me about?
We're going to find out why your grout is failing.
I'm going to say everything's hunky-dory with my grout.
They've got to figure it out. Somebody's got to figure out what's going on in there because water's getting underneath the tile. First evidence is that the grout washes out, water gets underneath the tile, and that causes a delamination. So if you're the grout person and you're saying there's nothing wrong with the grout, I'm going to be asking you, why is your grout washing out? It shouldn't be washing out.
Got it. Now, did we select the grout vendor? I believe that was from the GC, the general contractor, correct? We may have, based on the cost, I believe during the owners committee or the building committee, we may have approved something.
CD Smith picked the floor installers. I do believe PRA spec'd out the grout to be used.
Got it. So shouldn't we be talking to all three parties?
All three parties will be at the next meeting. PRA, CD Smith, and Lippert Floor Tile were present at the meeting.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yep, so, now am I on? So he's correct, those three people were at the meeting. They did try to bring the grout manufacturer to the meeting, and they were unavailable. So the three individuals that attended our meeting will go meet with the manufacturing company. I do believe it was CD Smith that hired the installation company, and then they had it in their specs to use that specific grout. So it was CD Smith that spec'd that grout.
Because if I'm the grout guy, I'm going to say that I installed it per the manufacturer's recommendations. I'm going to kick the can down the road to the grout guy saying it's a product defect. So everybody's going to be pointing fingers at each other. And I just want to make sure that the Germantown School District doesn't incur any additional expense on resolving this issue, because we've only been talking about it since the pool's been open.
Correct. Yeah,
And you're doing a wonderful job managing this, but it is getting kind of old, which I know you're aware of that, so.
I'd have to agree. It needs to get resolved. And at this point in time, we're not going to make any repairs on the deck until we get a resolution.
Cool. Thank you.
So, an add-on to that, obviously, we're talking about tiles and everything. Is there a chance that because of this continuing issue, that it somehow spreads elsewhere, that we have to worry about if this keeps lingering on and on and on, that we might have to worry about something else because of the deterioration of the tiles?
I don't believe so, because the concrete's solid underneath it. It's just a question of the tiles delaminating, water getting underneath the tiles and forcing the tiles off the floor and breaking them.
So Don, a few months ago, we talked about, I believe, the concrete seams being covered up by the tiles. And were those seams ever corrected where the
The
seam,
expansion joints?
yeah, was brought all the way to the top and let's say silicone sealed?
Yes, that has been corrected. That was done actually in March.
So we're still having tile issues after that?
Correct.
Okay, just wondering.
The majority of the areas that actually we're having the biggest issues with are actually on the areas that have the most water washing across them. It's mostly on the south end of the pool and then by the ladders exiting the pool. So it's mostly where constant water contact and it's breaking the grout down.
So because we're not going to put any money into fixing it until one of the third parties, I guess, takes responsibility for it, we're trying to speed it along due to the fact that we've talked about this for too long. And also, we don't want the tiles to come to a point where they remove themselves if someone's walking on them while it's wet. So we're trying to speed it along. So we will follow up with all parties to make sure that that conversation has had. It was supposed to have had immediately after our conversation. So we'll follow up on that.
One last question. The pool still is operational. We're still using it, right? Okay, great. Thank you.
Mr. Medved?
Don, just for clarification, we've been talking about this for a while. Really, the only resolution is to replace the tile deck on the entire deck. And the question is, who's paying for it?
That would be the ultimate solution, yes. And that, I guess at this point in time, it's yet to be determined, but it's got to be one of the three groups.
Correct. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? I don't know if any of you saw the huge semi-truck sitting in the student parking lot. That is our future track sitting out there. The contractor for the track resurfacing is behind schedule due to shortage of workers. Devin Wheat from American Field Service has the track schedule rescheduled to begin today. Unfortunately, with the weather, they weren't able to do any work on it, but they will be in this week as weather permits to get the track completed. If needed, the track work will be scheduled around any football scheduled events. They do feel that they'll have it done well before our first varsity home game. Any questions? The doors for the GHS first floor stairwell are being shipped August 4th and should be here early this week. CD Smith will schedule its installation as soon as the doors arrive. To this date yet, they have not arrived here. I did double check with CD Smith today. I haven't heard a response back to confirm whether they were actually shipped on August 4th as promised. The nice thing is that the existing stairwell doors are still there, so if they don't arrive in time, we will make do with the doors that are in that area, and they won't be torn out until probably winter break then if the doors don't arrive in time. Any questions? Germantown High School roofing through wall flashing. The roofing at Germantown High School is scheduled to start August 16th. They were actually there outside today removing stones off of the affected roofing areas. Was a little surprised when I saw them there prior to the August 16th start date. Commercial Consultants is recommending the installation of a through-wall flashing as part of the roofing replacement. The installation involves removing 3 to 4 courses of brick along the entire length of the wall, approximately 90 feet, where the roof work is being completed to install a perma barrier through-wall flashing. Holton Brothers would be performing the work for $16,820. If recommended to move forward, Fund 41 roofing costs will be $163,175, with $11,825 remaining from the original $175,000 roofing estimate. Any questions? Seeing none, then I will proceed forward with the through wall flashing then. Germantown High School controls upgrade. Johnson Controls and District Maintenance and I performed a walkthrough of the control upgrade project at Germantown High School. It was discovered during this walkthrough additional areas needed to be upgraded. In addition, there have been added labor expenses and an increase in cost of needed parts. The original quote was for $29,000 and the revised quote is for $46,300, a difference of $17,300. It is recommended to move forward with Fund 40. To move forward, Fund 41 will have $30,325 remaining after all planned projects are completed, including the through-wall flashing. That does include the additional cost to this digital upgrade here at Germantown High School. If this work is completed, all controls here at the high school will be digital. There will be no pneumatic controls left here. Any questions? At this time, we'll move forward then with it if there's no objections from the committee. I do have a couple other things that aren't in the packet that I'd like to report upon. One is the August 9th roof leaks. Today, after the weekend and today's rains, it was discovered a few roof leaks within the district. County line, the location of the water dripping was detected with today's rainfall. This has been a leak that has been actually part of construction as well, that everybody's been battling about where is it coming from. Well, we now have a video of the actual dripping from the roof decking. They do believe it is from the mechanical system that is leaking through and coming through on the roof deck. The mechanical contractor will be brought in to make the repairs and investigate it as needed. We've met several times on this one as well. Once the repairs are completed, the drywall area on the soffit where it's dripping into will also have to be repaired. CD Smith will have to take care of that as well. Any questions on the county line leak?
I'll just add that this is just another matter that we have to be concerned about with the construction. And I know there's some community members that don't want us to talk about this anymore with PRA and possible litigation, that type of thing. But it is what it is. And when you do a district-wide construction project like we did, not just in one elementary school or one school, but we touched every single school with extensive additions, repairs, you're going to have issues. And those issues aren't going to show up on day one or day two or in a punch list before we sign off on something. So this is what we're talking about now. Unfortunately, it is what it is, and I'm not going to say it's normal to be expected, But when you're dealing with a large project like we did, $84 million, it's going to happen. So we need to continue to talk about it and address it, and most importantly, resolve it at no cost to the Germantown School District or our taxpayers. So unfortunately, will this be on our agenda if we go into closed session with PRA, with CD Smith and their subcontractors? Yes, it will. And I'm okay with that until we fix it.
I'll keep bringing them forward as they keep coming to my attention. Next one is here, GHS-PAC. We've reported leaks here at this building several times as well. Fortunately, one of them has finally been repaired. There's a through-wall roof drain on the upper part of over the stage. The plumber contractor actually finally came in and they reran it, and we have not seen any leaking out of it since then. Unfortunately though, we still have 2 leaks that have occurred. One is a new one. It's in the corner of the north hall, right outside the door over here, and then one in the prop rooms. And the one in the prop room actually occurred last heavy rainstorms that we had, and we believed it was fixed up till this weekend. After this weekend, it looks like it's greatly reduced, but there is some indications of moisture on the floor, so it's still of the perception that it's still leaking. Roofing contractor is due out tomorrow, I believe, to take a look at it and to try to come up with a resolution for it. One of the things that I'm suggesting to CD Smith is that we do a flood test of the area, and perhaps if we need to get the fire department out as well to hose down the walls to see if that is where the leak is coming from. There's multiple areas which have caulk in it or cracks that could be causing the leak, as well as the roofing material. Any questions on the PAC leaks?
No.
All right, all the other schools have seemed to do well, excluding MacArthur Elementary. The contractor will be at MacArthur Elementary to investigate several leaks from the weekend and today's rainfalls. The custodian there reported probably 4 or 5 of them to me this morning and sent me a roof leak report. I immediately forwarded it on to CCG, and they contacted the contractor to come out and look at it. And then this afternoon I received another one from the custodian there with several more leaks on it, all in the same roof area. Most of them are located in the 1991 addition, mostly in the art room, music area, and that existing hallway as well. This roof was replaced in 2014, so it should be under warranty as well. I'll know more once we find out what the contractor finds out tomorrow with all these leaks. Thought I'd at least want to report that to you so that you're aware of it, that this was, it's an unusual rainfall we've been experiencing, but we still shouldn't be having this amount of leaks within the buildings. It's unacceptable.
Just curious, before the referendum, we had 20 acres of roof in the school district. Do you have any idea how many acres we have today?
I do not at this time.
Yeah, I'm not trying to make excuses for the leaks, but I think we're doing okay considering the amount of area we have under roofs. And the excess rain, I think, is we've been having as a benefit, so we can find them, you know, in the summertime versus when class is in schedule.
Definitely a good time for it, especially when we have ceiling tiles that are getting so saturated that they're literally falling out of the grid work.
And one more, if I may, the chimneys at County Line, are those still in use with our high efficiency boilers?
Yes, they are.
We actually vent through those.
Yes,
Yeah.
we do.
Okay,
So they exhaust outside that way.
okay, thanks.
Okay. Any questions on the roofing leaks? I do have another one that has popped up and we've been working on. It's a split DX unit for rooftop air handler 5 at Kennedy Middle School. It was discovered that it wasn't cooling properly. We ended up calling in Butters Fitting to find out what was up with it. They came out, looked at the unit. They discovered the first stage was not functioning properly. These included compressors 1 and 4, and it would not cool. Second stage is operating. First stage runs and trips on high head pressure. On occasion, the compressor 1 would trip its circuit breaker. This in itself, plus many other issues with the unit, including the wrong solenoid valves installed on it. There were 24-volt coils which could not properly open at high pressures. They did reclaim all the refrigerant out of the unit, cleaned the condensing coil, had to blast nitrogen both ways, 500 psi, to clear out the coil. There was a lot of debris in it. They do feel that the refrigerant also had a lot of non-condensables in it. They did a lot of work on it, and through the work, they have got it up and running, functioning properly, but I am going to be working with Southport and Trane as well to get some of the installation issues corrected, and hopefully we can get the life back to this unit like it should have. I didn't want to get too technical with all the issues because unless you're a refrigeration person, you're not going to understand a lot of it. Any questions? I got one more real quick report I'll make. A building walkthrough with GSF. GSF and I did a building walkthrough of the high school, Kennedy Middle School, and MacArthur last week on August 2nd. We are actually performing the other schools tomorrow. We did find that all the perimeter windows were washed inside and outside. 95% of the schools were completed, especially at the high school. The classrooms were cleaned and waxed. Locker rooms have been cleaned and disinfected. All the cafeteria tables have been cleaned and sanitized. Kennedy Middle School, the same with the outside windows. 85% of the school is complete. Left to complete is scrubbing some VCT classrooms and waxing the gym, cafeteria, and some hallway. All the classrooms are cleaned and all the LVT rooms have been scrubbed. The Tenant robot scrubber has been delivered and it is set up to run a route. At MacArthur, all the perimeter windows were also washed. 90% of the school is complete. Left to complete is finished waxing some hallways and 3 classrooms and scrubbing the gym. Classrooms have been cleaned and waxed. All LVT floors have been scrubbed. There are some areas, especially at the middle school and some of the elementary schools, which they probably won't get completely done. The rooms themselves will be cleaned, but they may not get to the floors where we typically go in. We'll do a deep scrub and wax them. Due to the short time of summer, starting in July 1 versus the June start date, they're not going to be able to get each and every classroom completed. I have asked them to provide me a list of which classrooms those are so I can get that forwarded out to all staff so that they have an understanding that it wasn't that their room wasn't cleaned, it's just that their floors weren't scrubbed and waxed necessarily. Want to be proactive on it and make sure that staff are aware of it so when they walk into their room, they don't get the impression, well, my room is filthy, because they see the floor and they think that their classroom wasn't actually cleaned. So we're going to get that word out as well. The principals also have to be informed of which rooms were not waxed and scrubbed. The plan is, though, that they will come in during breaks and do some deep scrubbing in these areas, deep scrubbing and waxing as well. So like during winter break, which they'll be working 4 out of the 5 days that school's out, and they'll come in and they'll start scrubbing into some of these areas that they couldn't get to this summer. Any questions?
Was that a condition of the contract that we had with them?
It was not, but it was an understanding that with the transition this year and the shortened summer months with them starting in July, that it may have occurred. So it was understood at the beginning that there might be some areas that weren't 100% to what we were expecting.
But we didn't stipulate that in the T's and C's in the contract with them, that you will do this, 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 and that, which means you'll cover every classroom on what you just stated.
It is in the contract, I believe, but because of the transition period this year, we were kind of, they didn't have a lot of help. They're still looking for people to hire. They actually brought up a team from Chicago to do all the rooms at this point, out of Illinois.
No, I get it, but if it's in the contract, if it's in the terms and conditions, and we're paying for it and we're not getting the service, I don't want to be a bad guy, but there's 24 hours in a day, 7 days in a week. And I guess my expectation would be if we sign the contract, they sign the contract in good faith, and we're paying for a service and we're not getting that service, not our fault. They need to do what they need to do to get it done. And I know that the classrooms will be clean. They just won't have that shiny sheen on the floor. I get that. But if we're paying for it, I mean, I don't want to delay 2 months or 3 months till the next break to get it done. And I understand with what our government is doing on paying people to stay home on unemployment, and that's impacting the labor pool. I get that. But that's not our fault.
I agree.
Bob, I actually just want to make sure that the floors will be cleaned, that they're not obviously going to, or they might not have that deep scrubbing. Obviously, eventually they will. But you're not telling us that they're not going to be cleaned at all, right?
They will be clean. They just won't have the deep scrubbing and the new wax put on it. They'll still go into the rooms. They'll still make sure that they're all cleaned and everything, but they just won't have that nice shiny walk-in look like a fresh classroom would have at the beginning of a school year.
At this time.
Right. They'll go in there, they'll take the scrubbing machine in there, they'll move the furniture, scrub the floor down, but they may not get to doing the waxing.
And Don, I know you and your team are doing a wonderful job managing this, especially with a new vendor. And I don't want to be a bad guy on this, but if there's something that we're supposed to be getting that we're not getting, I think we need to escalate that to have a conversation. And if they're not going to be able to do it within a certain time frame, maybe we need to identify, okay, what does that cost? And we're going to deduct that from their bill.
I'll talk to them about it, especially during our walkthrough tomorrow.
Cool, thank you.
Okay. That's all I had for my reports and updates.
Thank you. Item 6, unfinished business. Discussion and possible action, administration building digital control upgrade.
At the July 20 meeting, or on July 20, Master Building Solutions was contacted to provide a quote to complete the digital control upgrade at the district administration per the request of the last building committee meeting. Attached is the proposal for $49,121 to complete the building. With the additional cost for the Germantown Heights School upgrade and the roofing through wall flashing deducted, there is still the $30,325 remaining in Fund 41. $15,000 has been budgeted from the maintenance budget to begin with. So that leaves a total of $3,796 still yet to be funded. If it's decided to move forward with this, I will take that out of Fund 10 in order to get this project completed. I do believe at this price, we're probably saving $15,000 to $20,000 by getting it all done at one time versus spreading it out over a 3 or 4 year period.
Any questions?
I don't have any, but I think it's, based on that, I think we should go ahead with it. Does it need to go back to finance? Based on the dollars,
Yes, it does.
yeah, okay.
So the recommendation is to motion to bring forward with a positive recommendation to the September 13, 2021 Finance Committee to award Building Master Solutions a contract not to exceed $49,129 with $30,325 funded from 41 and $18,796 funded from the Building and Grounds Fund 10 budget to complete the entire administration building digital control upgrade.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oop, I'm sorry, do we need a discussion?
Brittany, are you okay with what we're discussing here? Okay.
Sorry.
We got the yes. All right.
All those in favor, say
Aye.
aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Next on the subject is discussion for the emergency management plans. The plans were forwarded because the committee should be the board actually should have these 60 days in advance in order to have time to go through the plans and to come up with any questions or corrections that need to take place on the plans.
And that has been shared with the entire board, correct? Everyone received them?
Yes.
I don't know if I received that. Have we received it?
Did you, well, I'll check my emails. I should have sent, thought I sent them out to everybody
How long ago?
last week.
Okay, I might have overlooked it. Yeah, take a look. I'll look also, see if I got it from you.
Yeah, there were two separate emails
looked
that
like
went
it
out,
went,
so
Okay.
if you don't have them, I'll get them out to you right away. I'll check my emails tomorrow morning too.
7B, discussion and possible action on district compartmentalization doors.
The fire doors that close during a lockdown at the schools must be rewired to close independently from the fire alarm system when the lockdown is activated. The fire doors have not been closing properly since the construction project has been completed. Prior to construction, when the lockdown was activated, the Linnell, or the access control system, would signal the fire alarm panel to close the doors. Johnson Controls, Simplex, informed the district due to updated life safety codes, this is no longer an acceptable practice and the systems need to work independently. Representatives from Stanley Security and Johnson Controls have agreed on how the separation of the systems can be accomplished with the addition of a relay and wiring to the access control panels for each of the fire doors that are locked down doors. Stanley Security will be doing the install and wiring. Listed below is the quote for each of the schools. Rockfield Elementary does not require any rewiring of the system. The total cost, which is not properly reflected here, it has been discovered that a set of doors at Kennedy Middle School and another set at Amy Bell were not included in the proper quotes. The cost for the KMS additional doors is $1,425, and the Amy Bell doors is $1,650, bringing the total cost of the project to $23,961. It is a recommendation to move forward with a positive recommendation to the Finance Committee to award Stanley Security a contract not to exceed $23,961 funded from the Building and Grounds Department Fund 10 budget to rewire the compartmentalization doors on the fire alarm system to work independently with the access control system. Any questions?
What was the dollar amount you just read?
$23,961.
Okay, the version I've got's a little bit, the number's a little different, so.
Yeah, you would have the version of 20,866. I just received a number for the doors that were missed this morning.
Okay, just so long as Tracy has it.
Yep. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I actually have one, and this might be, I think the key phrase here, key sentence in here, is the fire doors have not been closing properly since the construction project has been completed. Why?
Because they did not, a lot of the buildings had the fire alarm panels either moved or rewired. And at that time, the fire alarm company, Simplex, did not rehook up the doors for this particular reason, is because the fire alarm panel and the access control panel need to work separately, independently. Prior to construction, they didn't. What would happen is we would go into a lockdown, the Linnell panel would send a signal to the fire alarm panel, then to shut the fire doors. What they're saying now with life safety codes, we can't have it occur that way anymore. So we've been working with Stanley and C.D. Smith and Johnson Controls to get the problem resolved. It's taken this long for them to come up with a final resolution of how to properly get this. If this was done during construction, it would have ended up being a change order either way, because this was not something that would have been originally prior to construction on how the doors functioned.
Yeah, we've had the lockdown doors and so on for quite a few years now, so I don't think it would have been known back then what was going to happen today. It's something we put in place quite a few years ago, not highly advertised. What's that number again? I see I need it for finance.
The new number is 23,961.
Okay, sounds good.
Any other questions or discussion?
Hey, Don, quick question. Did the fire marshal sign off on this? Because we're hearing it from the vendor, and they've got a vested interest on doing what they're doing. But did our fire marshal sign off on this, the authority having jurisdiction over our life safety system in the schools? I mean, we want to do what's right, don't get me wrong. But
They
if-
have not at this point in time. I can contact them and find out if they have any issues with it. I don't think that they're going to have any problems with us doing, especially doing it this way. Because right now, the fire alarm panel cuts power to the set of relays. So the decision is to get it corrected, and those relays will still stay activated, but the Linnell panel relays will be after that, and they'll cut the power. So they'll be completely separated. I will check with them just to confirm it.
Yeah, because we've always done the right thing. We'll always put safety before anything else, life safety. But if our local fire marshal is not requiring this of this, that may be further discussion needed on that, so,
Okay.
thank you.
Any other questions?
So John, just to clarify, so when the fire alarm would go off, the fire doors would close, correctly?
Correct.
Correct, but then if we were doing a lockdown, which we noticed last spring, we were doing lockdown drills, if we did a lockdown, the lockdown doors closed, but it didn't trigger the additional fire doors to close. Is that
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Anything else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8, I'll take one last motion.
I have a question, though. Maybe it's growing pains for all the committee meetings this evening. I see policy and a building committee both started at 6 this evening. So what's going on?
No, we had a building committee meeting that was scheduled for a 6:20 start.
What was it?
6:20 start.
Yeah, when we set these, when we talked to the people running them, they thought these would be quick meetings, and they haven't been, so.
Maybe I should keep my
That's
mouth
on us.
shut then. I apologize.
Oh, okay. I see the 20 minutes there. I stand corrected. Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All those, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 7:11 is our end time.